So, who is scared this is going to happen? Yeah, come on. Let's show more hands. You are not willing to admit this, but it got you thinking what happened in Spain and France, and it's getting closer and takes longer. Well, this is of course generated by AI. This is the vision how you might look under blackout. Check the expressions. It's not fun or enjoyment or laughter. So what do you think? Could crypto work without electricity? Let's take a vote. So yes, who thinks yes? Okay. Yes. I don't know. I'm not sure. This will not give you any answers. My 25 minutes or whatever we have are meant to stimulate your thinking and maybe think about crypto and the people behind it and devices and networks and the way of life in a different way. And I actually stumbled upon these questions when I read this excellent book, and I recommend it to everyone. It's an honest attempt to rebuild civilization if electricity disappears. The case is not that of a blackout. It's more like aggressive COVID or whatever, with millions surviving around the world. And the author, Lewis, asks a good question, like, how could we rebuild our world when we lose everything that has been digitized, uploaded in the clouds, and mostly that has been outsourced by ourselves to the machines? My kids, they no longer read books, they don't go to libraries, they just rely on a single device. And if you suddenly lose all the knowledge at your fingertips, all what ChatGPT tells you, explains to you, so how do you build anything really? So this got me thinking, what if, that was about 2 years ago, what if there is a blackout here in Prague? And it's not a blackout of hours, but maybe weeks or maybe months. And I try to investigate what's going to happen to all of us when we lose electricity. And I have a friend who happens to live in Spain and was affected by the blackout. And what he told me was unbelievable. In a matter of hours, of course, shops were left without anything to sell. Only the people who had cash, physical cash, could buy the water, the pasta, whatever they think that will keep them alive during a war. They really thought in that street, in the neighborhood, that war has started. That actually, the Russians managed to hack and switch off all of Spain, all the city, and it's the beginning of the war. And there was actually a Russian living on that street who already put the flag out and like, victory is here. Amazing, it's crazy, and it's only hours. Now imagine what would happen in days or weeks. There actually is a study that was done in the UK and was commissioned by the grid operator, by National Grid, that tries to predict what will happen to cities and society 3 weeks without electricity. Unfortunately, it's classified. It's army material, the one that Tom Cruise gets to read, not me. But anyway, what do you think is this? Any guesses? It's a device. What does it do? A water meter? A water heater? No? Come on, you are, some of the brightest guys around. Speaker? No. It doesn't have to do anything with water, even though it looks. It's actually a light. It's a light. There is no electricity. How do you generate electricity instead of turning on your switch or connecting to the grid? So this is a gravitational light. here you can see the strings. If I showed you the strings, you would have guessed, because there is a bag of sand, and you just lift it up, and then as it travels by gravity, it generates light. So why this picture and why you should think about this? It's actually only when you lose the most essential part, when you lose all the luxury of resources and electricity, you start thinking really deeply about innovating your product, about other ways how things might work. What is this? Dynamo machine. No, it's yes, it's a fridge. It's a fridge that works without electricity. It's an off-grid fridge they developed for rural parts of India which have no access to electricity. So it's ceramics, and you put water on top, and as it trickles down and travels down and evaporates, it cools down whatever is inside. So this actually manages to cool it down. The difference between the outside and inside is 15 degrees Celsius, enough for some of the veggies to be fresh for long. And you know what happens is that they develop this for India, and then now it's a hit product all over the developed world, because people are concerned about how shall we survive these blackouts, or they have these cottages or tiny houses in the country that are completely off-grid and are solar powered. What if there is no sun? How do we keep our gelato ready? So they are starting to buy these products. And this is called technically reverse innovation. So that's, if you think of a blackout or the state when you imagine, oh, what if there's no electricity? How would crypto work? Is reverse innovating. So you innovate from like the worst case scenarios, and you can come up with ideas that get implemented later on, even in the developed world. For example, did you know that even Albert Einstein came up with a patent for a fridge without electricity? And actually, it's now being developed in a real way to be a commercial product 100 years after the patent was filed. So now you can come back home and say, did you know that Albert Einstein actually invented a fridge that needs electricity? They did with his colleague Szilard, and you only need a heat source, so it could be fire underneath or anything like that, but don't ask me for details. So what would blackout, or the scenario where there would be no power for days, weeks, months, mean for crypto business? You would need to rethink how the network might be constructed. So if there is no access to internet or servers, how the hardware might look. So how would my crypto wallet work? How would I access it? How to do transactions? How to validate and work with trust in a community? So maybe one of the good ways, as I listened to the end of the Circus lecture, you just need trust. And how would you manage that? And how would you coordinate globally if there is no chance to do it at that moment? So it might have a number of applications, and some people, most people, innovate when they try to push the technology forward, but they don't question the basics will be there, like, yeah, there will be electricity. There'll be all these rare metals we can mine indefinitely. Oh yeah, there'll be a sophisticated distribution system. The internet will be working. People will have their mobile phones. They'll be better and better. What my opinion, not just mine, it's a legitimate technique, is going the opposite direction. Get rid of some of these things you take for granted. What if there is no internet? What if the electricity is down? And suddenly you have to think differently about how to build a product, a new service. When I searched for a blackout-proof or blackout-ready wallet or any hardware, nothing exists. But I can tell you this will become a marketing term. And I actually managed to discover already few companies that were thinking how to generate electricity without, it flowing freely from the sockets. So you can use like gravitational energy to charge your phone. This is a do-it-yourself method how to build a charger for your mobile phone. And I think that do-it-yourself skills, it's called like hackathon hacking skills, will be very important. When you start thinking in these ways, what do I need to generate electricity? It might look like this. And this is my favorite, is turning fire into electricity. And this is already commercially available. So, that might be something as an inspiration, what can come up with just seriously entertaining the scenario that you will lose electricity for a number of days. So when I asked AI to come up with a good design for the blackout-proof crypto wallet, it came with this device where you could crank it up and generate some electricity. So maybe this is what's going to be sold all over Europe at least, because of course no one wants to lose all their wealth just because there is no power. And I am putting together this huge experiment, how society would function, how people would behave, and actually the impact on crypto could be studied as well if you want to help me. So we'll be doing an immersive, artistic and applied science experiment in March next year in Prague, where we will put people into scenarios of really living without electricity and studying how they behave and what they are willing to do, sacrifice, etc. And so far, we don't have anyone who would be a crypto expert and could get valuable insights and implications. So if you are into fun, but a serious fun, play, science, and thinking about how society will work under stress in cities, then I'd like to invite you to join us, to help us think through good research questions and be there when we start studying how people behave under extremes. Right, so that's the end of my very brief talk, because I think there'll be questions, and stage is yours. Fire at will.
Thank you to Tomas. First of all, a round of applause for him. Thank you. And I already see Chris with a question. I'm going to pass you the microphone. 1 second. There you go.
Excellent talk. Thank you so much. I'll be signing up for your Blackout Prague, no problem. Question I've got, you're clearly at a crypto conference now, so you're going to be addressing kind of this audience, but in terms of how you see old world technology versus new world blockchain technology, which do you think will fare better under blackout circumstances?
Well, as examples, real-life examples have shown, it would of course be like the old world tech. So people need cash or gold or any of a really ancient means of storing and transacting, storing value and transacting value. But I think that unless there is a kind of ready-made or something that takes into account possibility of there not being electricity, there being no internet, it's a big minus and a threat. So if there were longer blackouts, suddenly it could be a blow to the crypto community, to any currencies based on blockchain that needs to somehow be centrally, in the clouds. If this is off, it will be another argument why that currency kind of doesn't make sense, etc. So it could be a door inviting an attack. It's not a safe, agile method that can sustain such an external threat. So I think it's time to start really thinking about it and maybe coming up with ideas and solutions.
Thank you very much. I've got a lot of questions for you, but again, I want to give you guys the space to ask them. Any more questions from the audience? Yes.
Hi. I actually don't have a question. I had more like a suggestions because a few years ago as well, I was involved in some Mongolian projects regarding to how to give them access to energy. So one of the combusting thingy you had there, actually it's patented by the Italian energy company, and you can download the blueprints from them. It's for free, and you can build it easily from home because they created it so smartly that anyone can do it by themselves. So I just want to suggest actually you should check the company for gas. They do have it there.
Yeah. Well, thanks for the suggestion. If you have any cases and suggestions, please then send it to me. Just one comment. I also came across an interesting case in Cuba when the internet was still not there, but it was all around, in the States, around the world. Everybody was online already, but Cuba not, because it did not have access to internet. So the way they managed to spread internet content without internet was that they had this network of messengers driving on mopeds around with a USB stick. And they actually drove to car garages and repair shops, and people paid to watch whatever was on the USB stick, which was a curated internet content for that week, and people gathered as a community to watch one screen, and they paid actually for this. So there was even a way to get internet to screens without internet. And it was a combination of new, old, that you might not expect. So
That's actually interesting because I do remember 20 years ago we were gathering in pubs and exchanging DVDs.
yeah, it's the same, like
Is this the same?
meeting in pubs, exchanging DVDs, but also they actually could be up to date by using this ingenious, like old technology. So thank you for that comment, and I think we had a question over there.
It's more like a suggestion or other ideas that are related to this. So I know, I think it's in India or maybe in Vietnam, and I read about these like some towns that are like very far from, they don't have internet, right? They don't have, maybe they have electricity but no internet, right? And then what happens is that there's like a motorbike that goes through those towns like once a week, and then it connects to a local server, then it syncs the email. Maybe it goes more than once a week, I don't know. But so they don't have internet, but they have email, just with a delay, right, of several days. And so basically they sync the email, and then the motorbike goes away. And then that way they're still connected. Also, this thing about Cuba with el paquete semanal.
Yes, El Paquete, that was the name.
Yeah, exactly, that's the name. And apparently there's like some people that create like a, every week or every something they create one, right? And I read there's also, or there was something similar in North Korea, of all places, and they were in the black market. I think there were, also these USB sticks with TV shows and music from South Korea. So they know K-pop there in North Korea too. They know it exists. And basically it's with these USB sticks that they buy in the street markets or something. And then like the last thing that is related is that there are many apps, or many projects that are about using internet peer-to-peer. So it's more like, well, I don't know if calling it internet, but it's more like messaging apps. So we have Briar, it's like a messaging app. So it's very primitive because you don't have videos or pictures or anything, it's just text, right? But it works with Bluetooth or Wi-Fi from, one cell phone to the next, etc. And there are other ones. I think one is called LoRa, I think, no? That's
Yeah,
like more
LoRa is
new.
one of them.
Yeah, and I think there's like another one that I don't remember now. Yeah, so there's several.
Oh,
Thank you very much.
Thanks for the cases.
Thank you. Any other questions, ladies and gentlemen? We have a little bit of time. Yes, just behind you. Yes, thank you.
Again, not question, but rather a comment about like old money, like let's say cash against blockchain-based money. I think actually, like potentially, like if there will be like suitable protocol developed, blockchain money will be better in this case because we don't need a lot of electricity to run the phone, and we can have mesh network. But the old money, they're all on centralized servers because like a real physical cash is just like minority of the money. And even this minority there is like stored in the banks, which can be robbed and things. So theoretically, yeah, mesh network-based blockchain gives, in this sense, gives like some advantage.
Yes, good point.
Thank you very much. Any other questions? We've got a little bit of time. No? Yes. It's all right. It'd be too long a walk. Please.
So, in the case of Blackout, what would you prioritize? Regain communication channels or regain access to money? As in your example with a currency, imagine you've regained access to your cold wallet or hot wallet, but you need someone who regained access as well. So even if you personally can generate some electricity for you, you still lack the electricity for infrastructure, like it happened in Spain, France, and Portugal. So what would you prioritize? Money, connection, something different?
Yeah, if I can answer, I'm not myself a heavy user, but it might be a good strategy to have something like in the hot format and something in the cold somewhere, because it's unlikely that the electricity will not come back. It might take maybe longer, and in the meantime, I wouldn't worry about digital money at all, because it looks that you'll be busier getting access to fresh water, being safe, and of course, water is the most important, and then safety comes second. So most people instantly started buying water and worried about safety, their personal and that of their family. So you'd probably have other issues than thinking about your digital money.
It's funny because in Portugal, the headlines for what people were in situations that people found themselves in when the blackout happened, that they couldn't pay in cafe, and number two was that they couldn't get to the beach, which is somewhat a contrast. You've said that people thought that war started. It would be much better if they realized that the war is going. And although there are no evidences for now that it was Russia's work, a lot of people assume it is. And links to the question, what was Czech Republic's response to that, if you're aware of them? Because there were incidents in the past, like ammunition warehouses were blown up several times. The ammunition that was supposed to go to Georgia or to Ukraine, even before the full-scale invasion started. So there were also assassination attempts of Czech Republic weapon manufacturers. So it's funny, not funny, that people don't realize the war is going, but are you aware what Czech Republic's plan or actions are?
I will shortly reply to this. So the official explanation doesn't say much, and the experts that I speak to in Czech Republic, they think that it was an attack, really. So it's nowhere official, but probably that is what may have happened. And the Czech blackouts from the past were not that long, but it's still it's a real possibility. And if someone had a malicious intent and wanted to damage the grid and infrastructure, it certainly is possible, and it's currently a hot topic, how to prevent these attacks.